broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Yeah, welcome AfterBuzz TV football fans.
And welcome.
Yes, to your Monday Night Football after show. We are joined by some very special guests. I'm your host, Christina Kaplan. Next to me is Ben Bateman.
What's going on, guys?
And we have the beautiful ladies over here, Heather Fur and Yashi Rice.
Thank you so much for having us.
Tell them where they can find you on social media, ladies.
You can find me at Heather Fur, F-U-R-R, 2 R's.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Yashi Experience and on Facebook, The Yashi Experience.
Nice, yes. And these ladies play for the Chicago Bliss.
Yes.
Defensive lineman over here,
Yes.
line woman, should I say?
I could say lion woman, yes, why not?
I like that. I like that. And we
Sure.
got a QB safety, which I'm interested in hearing how you play both roles there.
QB and safety? You do both?
Yes.
Wow.
I never come off the field.
That's incredible. Offense, defense, special teams.
She does it
The
all.
whole package.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Impressive. You're like a
Thanks.
character from Friday Night Lights.
Yeah.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
just like that.
Ben, tell everyone where they can find you on social media.
Oh, you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Ben Bateman Media, if you're so inclined.
Yes, and you can find me on Twitter, Instagram at Tina Cap. We'd love to hear from you, so tweet at us during the show. Give everyone a follow. We've got a lot of good stuff to talk about tonight. Lions at Seahawks. Lions enter the game, one of the only teams with no wins, and they leave the game, the only team with no wins.
It was an ugly game. I think that's an understatement.
Yes.
I'm a Seahawks fan. It was a rough one.
Yeah,
What'd you
what were
guys
your
think?
guys' overall thoughts of the game tonight?
Well, I like that they are still without a win because the Bears got a win this weekend, so I'm really happy about that. Thank you, Chicago. We have a little hope, but the game was pretty ugly. I mean, you couldn't tell if it was the Lions defense or the Seahawks offense that was doing so poorly, but you know, that's how football games go.
Right.
It's a roller coaster, and you just have to ride the wave.
And nobody remembers how it happens. It's just about the W. It's
Yes.
just who gets the win in
Exactly.
the end.
And it was a tight game too, still. I mean, it was a low scoring game. So
Yeah.
you know, I mean,
Which
they
is
don't
crazy.
they didn't win, but they fought the good fight.
Yes. Yeah, it was interesting because they gave us a stat during the game that the Seahawks had not scored at all in the first half of their first 3 games. So tonight they finally scored in the first half, which didn't really mean much because they,
Right.
barely won, but still it was surprising that they haven't scored at all in the first 3 games in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, I think people forget about the Seahawks, and this is just sort of what their offenses look like the last few years. There was definitely that stretch at the end of 2012 or 2013 where they scored like 155 points over 3 games, and they blew out the Cardinals like 56-0. I mean, there was like a moment where that was happening. But a lot of the time, they win games that look a lot like this. They'll win 17-3, or they'll end up winning, 14-6 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's just the way it is. I mean, it's the way the team is built. It's kind of like Patriots football some years where they play super close games all the time, but they always inch out the win.
Yeah.
So definitely not the kind of win as a fan you want to see. The offense was really abysmal, but ultimately, they're trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
And I think one of the huge things is they said that Russell Wilson last season had fumbled the ball, or the Seahawks had fumbled the ball 11 times and recovered every single fumble. And in the fourth quarter, he fumbled twice and lost the ball both times.
Yeah.
So that's huge. I mean, to turn over the ball in the fourth quarter with that close of a game.
For the run back, too. That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Awful, yeah. Yeah, I mean, so what do you guys think as far as these two teams going forward? I mean, no team has ever started the season 0-3 and won a Super Bowl. I don't even think teams that have started 0-4, there's only like 4 or 5 that have ever made the playoffs in history. So do we think the Lions are just toast? They just done?
I think so. I mean, let's just be serious.
Yeah.
Seriously. I mean, you cannot lose the first 3 games of the season. I mean, unless you're like, I mean, I don't know, unless you have like a good luck charm somewhere. But I mean, that's gonna be. They're definitely fighting an uphill battle at this point. And me personally, I play defense, so I always feel like, defense wins games. So it's going to be up to the defense to really turn their season around at this point. I mean, in my opinion.
Well, we saw from the Lions defense tonight, they really were the only reason why they were still in that game. Ziggy Ansah, Ehedibo.
Yeah,
I can't say his name.
it's one of those
I
names.
literally, every time I was at my apartment, like...
It's like
I'm
Igahedibo?
not even going to try to pronounce that because I can't say it. You guys know who I'm talking about, so it doesn't matter. We had Wilson, was it Josh Wilson, I think his name is, on the Lions, who sacked Russell Wilson for the first, I think it was the first sack of the game. So their defense really kept them in that game, even though they still didn't play that great.
Well, I think they forced, I want to say 3 turnovers and 6 sacks or something like that.
Yeah, Russell was taking some really hard hits, and being a quarterback that early on in the game, getting those sacks against you, like you gotta make sure that you come back harder and stronger in the second half, and it's hard to continue to sit in the pocket and know that those guys are waiting. And we were talking about it earlier, but his spin move and then his double spin move, you have to get out of the pocket and run for your life and make a play out of that. And I feel like as a quarterback, you're not only sitting in the pocket, but you're the playmaker, and you have to be.
Yeah, it's really funny. Like there's this great documentary that they made at one point about Tom Brady called The Brady Six, and in it they're showing all these commentators talking about why it's so hard to play quarterback in the NFL. And Kurt Warner is one of the commentators, and he's saying in college these guys have to hit a guy that's open by 10 yards consistently. They can do that, but in the NFL you got to be able to hit a guy who's open by 1 yard. And you got to do it when it's faster and it's coming after they're trying to hit you. Russell, it's like he's defeated that by the way he plays, because it's like he gets the first spin move, somebody goes for his ankles, and then he reverses and he goes for the second spin move. And at that point, one of his receivers is open by like 14 feet. And he just delivers a pass and gets 17 yards. The guy gets tackled, and everybody's like, Russell Wilson's insane. But it's like he never just stands in the pocket and picks apart a defense ever. I mean, I've seen him do it maybe 2 or 3 times ever in his whole career.
Well, and I feel like that's when he got sacked tonight, when he was sitting waiting.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you count to 2 and you haven't gotten that pass off, you're dead meat.
Well, there was a couple times where the pocket just collapsed on him and he had nowhere to go.
Right.
So getting sacked 6 times in a game, since you are a quarterback, Heather, going into that next game, what do you do? Do you talk to your O-line? Like, what's your game plan? I mean, that's hard. That's hard for a quarterback to take that many hits.
It really is. And I think it's going to take this week building up to their next game to build that confidence back up in your offensive line. And it's going to take a lot from Russell to really, like, at every practice, like, build them up. And if they do, create a great pocket, or if he's rolling out and they give him a lot of time, you just really need to reassure them that they're doing a great job. And I think that's really what it takes, the positive reinforcement and just letting people know when they're doing a great job, because that just builds them up and they play better.
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, I would think that it would really piss me off, to get sacked that many times. That's a lot. And that definitely shows that there's a disconnect with the O-line, because you just don't, especially in NFL, you don't get sacked that many times in one game. So, I mean, maybe he should talk to Sierra. Maybe Sierra can help him out. That's good. So,
yeah. Seriously. Power couple right there. I mean,
right. Or maybe he was, distracted from Sierra. You never know.
Yeah, didn't they say
they were saying that
was an issue, because and the same thing happened with Serena Williams when Drake came to see her.
Exactly. She was tired in her press conference. I think it was something
going on there. They went out the night before.
Right, exactly. You never know.
Got to keep your head in the game,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, right.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, because he's a shifty little sucker.
Yeah.
He is.
I was noticing, I was actually thinking about this. So you think about the greatest running quarterbacks of all time, and a couple names come to mind, right? Obviously, Michael Vick in his prime is one, and you have like Randall Cunningham. You have some other guys over the years that really made an impact just as a runner, and then more recent guys like Robert Griffin his rookie year, Kaepernick. I think that Russell Wilson is the most effective, efficient running quarterback in the history of football.
Versatile. That has to be efficient, versatile. I mean,
it's like the level of efficiency as a runner that he's able to execute every single game, right? It's like you can basically trust Russell will have 40 to 55 rushing yards almost every single game. He'll take probably one hit on the edge, maybe one hit.
Yeah.
He takes far more hits in the pocket than he ever does when he's running. And he doesn't run that fast. He's quick, but he's not that fast. So it's like you kind of wonder, I think he'll be able to do this until he's in his mid-30s. I don't think he's going to slow down. I think he's going to be able to play the same kind of football his whole career.
Yeah.
Well, I think it probably has a lot to do, Heather, you can tell us if you agree or not, and obviously Yashi too, but since you're a quarterback,
Right.
like getting, if he continues to have this many sacks and this much pressure put on him, how long really can you play?
Yeah.
You know, thankfully with the amount of sacks that he took tonight, nothing bad happened, but you never know. I mean, people were coming at him from all angles, and how you fall and if somebody's on your knees when you fall. I mean, we've seen it so many times with Cutler because he gets sacked all the time, and he's always injured, and he gets a lot of flack for that. But he's always, you know, scattering and just throwing the ball for his life. So, you know, I hope Russell Wilson has a very long career because he is such a great player.
Yeah.
And I love watching him.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks have given up the second most sacks in the league this year thus far, right? Actually, after tonight, probably the most. I wouldn't be surprised if they're number one.
Wow. I mean, that's a lot, though. You know, I think any player that can play into their mid-30s, that's great, because we know with football, the shelf life, unfortunately, it's not that long, you know? And when you get hit, it's like, what is they say? Like, it's like a bus or a train. Like, I mean, it's those hits are, you can't get sacked over and over and over in a game. It doesn't matter who you are and still have a long career, because it's your body is just not built that way. So he should be fine. He's young, you know, he's obviously he's really good, but they probably should make some changes if this continues, because, you know, you want him around for a while. You know?
And you guys both, I need to make a clarification. You play in full pads, so you know what it's like to get hit.
Luckily, I give the hits.
Yeah, she's the hitter.
I'm the hitter. I'm the hitter.
But still, the contact, like you still feel it.
For sure, you definitely do. But I am just really happy that I'm on the other end and not the receiving end of it, because she made that comment about getting hit by a train, and the first day after a game, it's like, wow, these turf burns are brutal. I hurt a little bit. The second day after, it's like, I can't move. I couldn't imagine being in the NFL getting hit by guys. You know, those guys are huge. I could not imagine getting hit that many times. It's Now you guys, so you play in full pads, but your outfits are fairly skimpy otherwise. Is that right? Did I read that correctly? I felt like I did some reading about the league. Right? They're not.
So we aren't exactly full pads.
Yeah.
Well,
So we don't have
shoulder pads.
Yes.
We have shoulder pads, helmets,
elbow pads, and
knee pads.
Okay.
But I will say this, that the hits that we receive and the injuries that people get, because I know that's like, you know, people worry about the padding because of the injuries, and the injuries that people receive, it's not because of the padding. It's rare that people get injured because of the pads. People get injured because they either, you know, they aren't strong enough. It's a lot of ACL and MCL tears. So it's not because of, I don't know too many people that got their ribs broken. I actually don't know anybody that had their ribs broken. So, and I actually haven't had any significant injuries due to the pads.
You need to knock on wood right now.
Well, I mean,
I've had way too many. My body is hurting every day because of
playing quarterback. You're going to receive more, you know, injuries than I play D-line. So thank God, you know, I don't receive that many injuries.
Well, not only quarterback, you're also safety.
Right.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the performance from, Kam Chancellor, basically? We should have said this in the beginning of the broadcast, but the last play of the game where Kam Chancellor punched the ball out of Megatron's arms before he crossed the plane. After the game, and then KJ Wright batted it away. The ref said that should have been a foul and that should have been the Detroit ball. And if so, they probably most likely would have scored, at least tied the game. So
not based on their offensive performance in the
right,
game.
right.
I don't know about
so
that.
it's maybe not that. Right, yeah. But aside from that, Kam Chancellor obviously making a huge impact since his return after his 54-day holdout. What did you guys think of his performance tonight?
Well, we were kind of traveling here when that all happened with Calvin Johnson, but I mean, secondary is huge for any defense. And when you have a receiver like Calvin Johnson, I mean, just amazing hands, that is your quarterback's number one go-to player. You have to stop him, and you have to do everything it takes. And I feel like, it just, did I just totally flip the script on that?
No,
that was okay. I'm like, wait, that was right.
I'm like, go girl, you good.
No,
yes.
I mean, that just makes such a huge impact in every game, and it builds the defense up and builds momentum for your team. And when a defense can make a huge stop or stop a huge threat on offense, that's what you need.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely interesting to see the defense now with Kam back. Obviously, you'd like to say they were 0-2 without him and they're 2-0 with him, but I don't feel like beating the Lions and the Bears, the Jimmy Clausen Bears, mind you, in Seattle.
Listen, don't talk about our Bears.
Yeah.
We are trying.
Winning a game in Seattle, I know, is so difficult.
It's hard to do.
Yeah.
And so that's what I mean is like, I don't know that those games were won because Kam Chancellor worked. Maybe there's an attitude adjustment that happens there. I think in this game, with you talking about Calvin Johnson, something that is very interesting to notice, and I work in fantasy football with the DirecTV Fantasy Zone, so we talk a lot about sort of player evaluations and their actual value in terms of like percentage points on a week. And Calvin definitely has dropped a lot. And I think the biggest thing to notice with Calvin Johnson is there was a time when he was the most physically dominant player in the NFL, not just receiver, but a guy that's 6'5", and runs a 4.32 and has a 12-foot broad jump like that, weighs in the 240s. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
So there was a time when you could have him release off the right side and run a slant, double coverage or something, and Calvin Johnson would just go up and
come down with the ball.
There was no question.
Right.
He was the most uncoverable player in the NFL. He's lost a step. I would be surprised if Calvin Johnson runs anything better than a high 4.4 at this point. He's more of a possession receiver at this point. And that was one of the big things that made the Lions such an unstoppable offense in the past. So Golden Tate's good, but I mean, that'd be like if Julio Jones was a tenth of a second slower. It's different. It's just a different kind of game.
Well, let me ask you guys then, all of you, do you think that it's more that Calvin Johnson has lost a step, or do you think the connection with him and Stafford is gone? Do you think if he went to another team with a better quarterback, let's say he put him on the Seahawks with Russell Wilson, do you think that he would be back at least almost at his, last couple of years level?
I don't think he'd be any better on the Seahawks. In fact, he'd probably be worse than the Seahawks.
Just with a better quarterback then.
I think if you put him on a team, like let's say you put him with Aaron Rodgers or you put him with Tom Brady or one of these guys who can put the ball where they want it when they want it, Calvin Johnson would have a slightly better season. But Stafford's got a good arm. It's just more of a question of like, they have no running game. They're poorly coached. Their offensive line is questionable. Their running backs are young or unproven or injured. And you look at a lot of the things that made that team so good the last few years, they're either gone or they have a diminishing skill set. I mean, that's the biggest thing is like that whole team was Stafford drops back, Calvin Johnson runs a deep go route, he throws it up, and it's a 55-yard connection. And then all of a sudden they're in the red zone, and Reggie Bush gets something on the right side. Reggie Bush is gone. Calvin Johnson's slower. Stafford's banged up. The offensive line's not good. Jim Caldwell's our coach, right? Yeah, Caldwell's not a good offensive coach. People remember him on the 2009 Colts, and the Colts made the Super Bowl. That's Peyton Manning. He was the coach.
Yeah.
Jim Caldwell's not good. I don't know. I mean, I think Calvin Johnson would be maybe slightly better for another year or two if he was on a better team, but I just have a hard time believing. I think the Lions are done for this year.
Yeah, I would agree that it's not the quarterback-wide receiver connection, but necessarily maybe the pressure put on that connection.
Yeah.
So not that Stafford doesn't have the skill to give it to him or that he doesn't have he's not able to catch it, but just the pressure of that and double coverage and just knowing that that's his go-to. And he's always looking there first or always wanting to go there.
So you're saying that just the lack of other weapons, basically.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you agree, Yashi?
I would agree with my quarterback here.
Are we worried about the Seahawks? I mean, I know I'm talking a lot about the Seahawks. What do you guys think about the season going forward? We're 2-2 in a tough division. The Cardinals are very good. The Rams are at least pretty good.
They're the third best team in the NFC West.
Yeah. Yep. Well, by record. Let's not say they're the third best team in the NFC West.
I don't know about that.
Oh,
the
you
Rams
think
are
that
good.
they're actually worse than the Rams as a football
The
team?
Cardinals are definitely the number one team in that league, in that division. I think the Rams are better than the Seahawks. I'm going to say that.
At this point, I mean, when you don't have your starting running back, when things are not going your way, your offensive line's looking kind of scrappy, and your defense is giving up touchdowns to the Detroit Lions.
Right, and Jimmy Graham is not doing anything of what they expected.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys about the Jimmy Graham thing. I mean, for lack of a better word, I thought that guy was kind of a wuss the whole time. He was in.
Well, that's what everyone always says. He never blocks.
Yeah, I
refuses to.
I had this memory of a playoff game where the Saints came to Seattle, and I want to say it was 2 or 3 seasons ago, and it was like the height of the Legion of Boom. I think it was 2013, the Super Bowl year for us, and they came to Seattle, and before the game, Jimmy Graham was talking shit to our guys, in the huddle, like as just warm ups though on their side of the field, and he kind of started to get into it with one of our guys, and he was like puffing out his chest or whatever, and Kam Chancellor comes over, and Sherman's yelling at him. And I think every Seattle fan was watching and just being like, dude, what are you doing? Yeah. You're in Seattle. Just shut up. Go play football. Like, why are you trying to front like you're like this hard dude? And then they got crushed. And ever since then, I don't know, man. Like, he's a great fantasy football player. That's what Jimmy Graham's always been. Fantasy football is so big, and he's a 16 touchdown one season guy. So people are like, he's this unstoppable force. But as a football player, when you can't run block, when you're out there just as a receiver, and you go from Drew Brees and the Saints offense to the Seattle Seahawks and Russell Wilson. That's offense is built on big plays and play action. You're not going to have 8 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown. That's not going to happen. So I think you can blame Jimmy Graham, but it's like Jimmy Graham's got to just deal with it. He's not on the same team anymore. Sometimes he's going to have 50 and a touchdown. Rarely is he going to have 102 touchdowns. Most of the time it's going to be this or like this. If he had got a touchdown tonight, that would be like a normal game. 4 for 30 and a touchdown.
And I think it's crazy. Like, your responsibilities change. Obviously, your offensive schemes have changed. You need to absorb what is different with your offense and be a team player. You need to make blocks so that other people want to make blocks for you.
Yeah.
And that's huge. Like, as a quarterback, on some of my plays, you can see on tosses, I'll roll around and I'll make blocks. Or if somebody's coming back on a reverse, that is huge. And you have to do that for your teammates because you want them to do it for you.
Right.
So it's just like a mutual respect thing, and do your job.
Because he's complaining in the media that he's not getting used enough. He's pissed about his role in the offense, is one of the quotes out of a Seattle reporter, and that's not gonna fly. I mean, and I'm a little that's the thing that worries me the most is we traded a first-round draft pick and a Pro Bowl center for this offensive weapon that doesn't block, that seems to think he's entitled to be better than he is. And aside from that, we're an older offense, we're an older defense.
Oh, and you were definitely missing Max Unger tonight.
Yeah,
100%. Like, it was clear, like, his loss was felt. And Marshawn Lynch, his loss was felt too. Are you guys worried? Do you think that his health is going to be a continued concern for the rest of the season?
I really hope not. I mean, he's a big player, and I feel like he'll do whatever it takes to get back on the field because he knows his team needs him.
Yeah.
And as they said, I read about just his presence on the field and in the huddle is felt so much, and that's so important for team chemistry.
Right.
So he knows that they need him.
Yeah.
So he will do whatever it takes.
And I would agree with Fur with that. I definitely know that, it's all about, sometimes it's not even if you play, it's just the presence that you have on the field that just motivates your team. And I feel like Marshawn, he's definitely one of those players that he motivates you. You play better just because he's there. So hopefully, he can come back and, be better. And he's still a strong player. So I think he'll come back and he'll, be a good asset to the team this year.
Right.
I think so too. It's just hamstring injuries are so hard.
Mm-hmm.
Because any type of stop and go, like, really basketball too, but more so I think football and baseball, hamstring injuries are so detrimental. And I feel like once you kind of strain something, it's so likely for you to really injure yourself worse. And so
and being a running back, fullback,
right?
Cutler obviously went out 2 weeks ago with a hamstring, and he came back this week and played really well, but his mobility is limited, obviously, and being a running back, you're required and expected to do so much more, and just the explosions and the cuts that Marshawn Lynch makes, and just how powerful he is, it's gonna be tricky.
There's definitely, there's ailments that are much, much harder to diagnose and take longer to heal, right? I mean, things like with your hamstring, it's so difficult to really fully extend and open up. It's the same with a calf muscle. You can rest that for a couple weeks, but when you really go in, you're cutting on it, you're pressing hard on it, very easy to re-aggravate those muscles. So you hate to see Marshawn Lynch miss the game at home. Last year of his 13 touchdowns, 11 of them came in Seattle.
Right.
So you don't like to see that. It's not. I hope that we're not watching Sean Alexander. Like, these guys that 29 or 30 years old that have been dominant in their careers, sometimes you hit that 30-year-old mark, or I think what's the stat? If you carry 330 times the previous season, statistically, there's a much higher likelihood there's just that cliff. And Marshawn carried over 330 times last year.
Yeah.
So I have a bad feeling about it, honestly.
Yeah. It's still kind of early on, so I think it's still to be determined whether he can come back and still be strong. And he definitely is a power player. But, it's early. So I think if he can come back, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. And they need him. Rawls, he did okay, I guess.
He's an undrafted free agent rookie.
I know.
What did he look like?
Like
look like an undrafted free
I
agent
said
rookie.
to Ben before the game or before the show started that Seahawks are like the team of the undrafted, no-name guys, and making them. And what else did you say? That converting them from?
Oh yeah, they convert defensive linemen, offensive linemen. That's a Tom Cable thing.
Yeah,
that's like classic Tom Cable. And that's they didn't look great tonight, but we won a Super Bowl doing that, so can't be too down on it.
Right. So Seattle's defense, they lost their head defensive coordinator. They lost another. What was the other guy's name that they lost to?
You're talking about players, or you're talking about
No. The other. There was another. They mentioned two people tonight. His name?
So 3 years ago, we lost Gus Bradley to the Jags. He's their head coach now. He's our defensive coordinator. Then we lost Dan Quinn. He's the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons now, who's a very good
But wasn't there I thought there was somebody else that I didn't recognize his name. Like, I know Gus Bradley and Dan Quinn, but I thought there was another guy. Whatever. Anyways, so now you have the new DC. Do you know his name?
I do. It'll come to me while you're
Anyways,
talking.
so how did you think the defense played tonight, being that there is a new defensive coordinator in the building?
I think they played pretty well. Chris Richards, I think is his name.
Okay.
I think they played pretty well. I was talking to my roommate while we were watching the game, and he's a huge Cardinals fan. And we both play a lot of fantasy. He had 4 guys going in the game tonight, and he still lost because the game was just awful. In fact, my best daily fantasy matchup this week was playing Thomas Rawls and Jimmy Graham, and they just blew it. I lost all my money, so that was terrible. But anyway, watching, I think it's really interesting to notice the difference between Seahawks defense on the road and Seahawks defense at home, and it's pretty stark. They gave up 0 last week. Through 7 quarters of football, they had given up 3 points up until that fumble recovery for a touchdown. So, and that's not the defense. That's Russell Wilson fumbling. So aside from that, it's the defense gave up 3 points in 8 quarters of football. So that doesn't actually worry me too much.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's insane. That's the kind of defense we've always played in Seattle. So it's really just the offense. I don't get the feeling that our defense is underperforming right now, but
No, I don't think so either. I was just asking, with this new defensive coordinator, do you see a change? Clearly they played well, so really there's not much of a change, I guess, is what you're saying then.
Yeah, it's the same. It's pretty much the same system because it's Pete. That's our defense. Like Pistol Pete's he's all about defensive backs. He likes to run that zone, right? We basically run a base cover 3, which always works. I was talking about this with Richard Sherman earlier, and how I think this is so funny. Like, Sherman's a great player. He's a very good athlete. But you put him up next to like a Revis or a Patrick Peterson on a basic level of athleticism. It's not even the same conversation. He's a very good athlete, but his size and his speed, his quickness, it's not the same. He's very cerebral, and he's a great zone corner. But I love the fact that Richard Sherman has taken this mantle that he has as the league's best corner, and he's made all this money in endorsements, and he's on a team that won the Super Bowl, so he gets to do that.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just like, go get that money, man. Yeah. Hats off to you, because you're either as good as they think you are, or you're not quite as good, but you happen to be in the best possible position to show off.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, he might be that good. I don't know. You watch him sometimes, and you're like, I don't understand how. Like, I watch Revis, and I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
It totally makes sense to me. And I watch Sherman, I'm like, you're like my favorite player ever, but I don't watch you and think that you look physically dominant, you know?
I think the problem is that, a lot of the times these quarterbacks don't even want to throw his way. Aaron Rodgers threw his way once in the last game that they played.
Yeah.
Or twice, and I think they were both actually completions. But you're not going to know how good he really is if quarterbacks are never going to throw his way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he likes to say great corners don't sit on an island, they get picks. And he does. He does get picks. And the thing that makes Sherman great is he's a smart quarterback. He does the study. He studies the game film. He puts himself in position. You'll see that guy gamble gamble his coverage more often than most top corners, right? He'll jump a route or whatever like that, and that's how he gets his picks, and I think that's what makes him great. So,
but that's also the most dangerous thing to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Like when you're gambling, you're putting your team at risk too, because then
Completely.
you're really counting on that secondary or that safety to come down or be there if you miss it, and that's huge.
Yeah, and he got beaten in the Packers game, James Jones beat him across the middle. So
James Jones, man. Who would have thought he would be having the year that he is?
You guys want to know a crazy stat about James Jones?
What's that?
Okay, in 28 games played with Aaron Rodgers, the last 28 games together that they've played with Rodgers, like the full games with James Jones in the lineup, James Jones has 24 touchdowns in 28 games.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
24 touchdowns. He's almost at a touchdown every single game that he's ever played with Aaron Rodgers on average.
Wow.
How crazy is that? James
That is
Jones.
crazy.
Well, Aaron Rodgers makes people look better. He makes receivers look better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's so good. We can't even get into that. But before we get into a little bit more about you guys, I want to give a shout out to one of our best fans, Fantasy Stats Guru. You don't know him, Ben, but he's been following us since last season, and he already tweeted at me saying his Lions got the raw end of the deal. I'm sorry.
He's a Lions
Fantasy Stats Guru. Yes.
I'm sorry to hear that. Let me just straighten my tie really quick.
Yeah, Ben over here, Seahawks fan. I apologize. And shout out to my girl Steph Z, who's in London for the Jets-Dolphins game. She had a great time and is having a great time. And she tried to stay up to watch this Monday Night Football game. She was texting me, but it was 3 a.m. London time, so she had to go to sleep. But anyways, our ladies here on Oxygen's show, Pretty Strong, which is airing tomorrow at 10/9 Central on Oxygen. And ladies, give us a little bit. Well, I don't know how much you can really give away. It's a docuseries, but how much can you tell us about, like, what were your most exciting moments of the series?
Well, I will say, just overall, you will see our show is very, very real. You can't fake the stuff that we've been through this year. So for me, I will say the best part of the year was just being able to finish the season strong, because you will see that we have so many ups and downs, like real life, between, I will just say this is a show that you will literally laugh with us. You will literally, truly cry with us. I mean, you're going to go on a journey with us. So just seeing that we all made it through, in one piece is to me the best part of the season.
Yeah. So it follows us from the beginning of our season till the end.
Yeah.
It shows us at practice, in games, but then our lives outside of football.
And that's the crazy.
Yeah, there's 8 of us, part of the cast, and our lives are just so different, but we come together and we win football games. And we're the 2-time defending champs coming into this season, so that is like the biggest thing, and you want to three-peat and you want to be that dominant team. So
how did it go? I mean, it happened already, right? You can talk about what happened.
We can't. You got to watch it to see.
But you got to watch it to see. We give it away to the people that aren't, that aren't familiar with the LFL. So we definitely want to let you guys watch, and you'll see, because
keep you hanging.
Yeah, because there's a lot of ups and downs in the games. I mean, we really haven't lost a game in 3 years. So
that should tell us what happened.
So this will be not to say that we lost the game, not to say that we lost anything, but you will definitely see that people sometimes when people see that we've won so much, they think that it's easy, and it's like, and they think that we take teams lightly. It's like, no, we don't take any team lightly, and you definitely go on that journey with us, because we have our lives on the field is, it's, you have the rock star, you have me Incredible, you have our other teammate, the Ferrari. So you have these big personalities on the field, but you don't really see what makes those personalities really, why we have those big personalities. And it's the fight that we have off the field, not the fight as far as, the camaraderie that we have, but just the fight in life, that we deal with. And those are the realest stories I've ever seen on any type of reality TV show.
I mean, it's nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Like, we have no idea what the premiere is going to include. We don't know which episode, what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But obviously the games are going to happen chronologically as they have to, and things in our lives. So it's kind of nerve-wracking, but so exciting. And
it's scary in many ways too, because this is the first time that any of us have, opened up our world to, to strangers, and the things that we go through are so real that it's things that you wouldn't normally go through, and a lot of us are finding out a lot of things about each other for the first time, because even though we're close, we're teammates, we've been together for a very long time, some things you just keep, football is an outlet, and unfortunately, well, I don't want to say unfortunately, but in many ways, because we have the cameras that are following us in our stories, the things that are private aren't necessarily private anymore. And so our teammates are finding out, some real deep things that are going on. So to me, our show is so different than all the other reality shows, because you really do go on a journey with us, and we are a cast of girls that have played together for so many years. And having this reality TV show come along at this point, it wasn't something that was planned. It wasn't something that we didn't say, hey, we want to be on reality TV. It's just that they saw that our stories were interesting, and they're like, this needs to be on TV, other people need to see this. And it's scary for us, but I think it'll be very entertaining for the fans.
So for our fans that don't know about the league, can you guys tell us a little bit about the league you're playing, just the LFL?
Sure.
Yeah, it's called the Legends Football League, formerly known as the Lingerie Football League. It's comprised, this season there were 6 teams across the nation. Okay. There's been as many as 12. Yeah. There's also teams in Canada, Australia, but it is a 7-on-7 tackle arena style football. So we don't kick extra points, there's not field goals, but we go for 1 or 2 from the ground. Basically, the same rules as real football. There's challenges, there's timeouts, there's fights.
Yeah.
There's there's a lot of fights. Celebrations are not frowned down upon. No. So we drink some beer, we get in each other's faces. It's a lot of fun.
In my opinion, I grew up watching football my entire life. My brother played football in NFL, so but playing it is totally different, and women are much more vicious than men are. Men are, they play, they leave it on the field. Women, we don't play like that. We carry grudges. So, and with our league this year, you see us face some of the same teams that we've beat already. So people carry grudges from one game to the next, and women, we are a vicious group. So you'll see, a lot of trash talking, maybe some fights on the field, but it's definitely entertaining.
Wow.
Yeah.
It premieres tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, yes.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
So exciting. Yeah. And we already mentioned earlier, Heather never comes off the field. She plays quarterback and safety. Yashi, one of the best D linemen in the league, and that's what everyone says. She goes, "Oh, that's what they say," but that's what I've read all over the internet. Yeah. So we have 2 of the best players here live with us. So we are excited that you guys are here. Yeah. I'm interested. How hard is it balancing a regular job, what people would call a regular job, with also, your football career?
It's extremely difficult. And it's not just regular jobs, it's relationships, it's family. We have, you'll see, it's public knowledge now, but you'll see that it's sometimes the situations that we have with our families, when you're dealing with health and things like that. That's a lot when you want to be there for your family, but you also have to play football and you also have to go to work. So it is very challenging, but it's a balancing act, and you make time for things that you want to do. And for a lot of us, football is an escape away from the craziness that is our job, is family and relationships and things like that. And you guys will go on that journey with us. And I honestly think that our show is so I can't express to you guys how different in my personal, because I'm a reality TV person, and I'm always watching like, oh, that looks like they put that situation together. But ours is nothing at all like that. It's so real that it's scary, because I think that the fans will be able to connect with each and every girl in just their own way, because we all have very unique stories that are very unique to, just so many people, men, women. It's a show that boyfriends could watch with their girlfriends, and mothers can watch with their daughters, and fathers can also watch with their sons, because it is also a show, in my opinion, about it's a lot of tragedy, it's triumph, it's friendships, it's sisterhood, it's team. So it's something for literally everybody. And if you don't watch football, it's fine, because you have storylines. And if you don't really want to watch really the story, you have football, and it's real football. It's real 7-on-7 contact, crazy A football.
Do you have players that you watch in the NFL that you would say are like the ones, like your favorite players? I guess I'm asking, who's your favorite player in the NFL?
Well, I would say my brother's my favorite player, because
he's playing now.
No, he retired. Simeon Rice is my brother.
Cool.
Super Bowl champion.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Wow.
Yeah, he's also nominated for the Hall of Fame. Hopefully he gets it.
Wow.
So, and he's actually going to be on the show a little bit. But my brother is actually he's one of the reasons why I play the way that I play, because for me to play football and for him to take it seriously, I knew that this was something that I couldn't take lightly. It's something that going into it, I would embarrass myself and my family's name by playing a sport that my brother made his career off of. And I didn't want to be the little sister that's trying to walk into her brother's shadow, because that wasn't why I played. But after this was something that I realized that I'm an athlete, I'm a collegiate athlete, this is something that I truly want to do. I asked him for pointers, and luckily, my brother being as good as he is and everything like that, he taught me a lot. So I have that luxury. But my brother is the person that, to this day, I really don't look at any other football players when it comes to the D line, because it doesn't get any better than that.
Football is my personal favorite sport.
Yeah.
If you guys had chosen to use your athletic gifts doing something else, was there something else you did in college that you were incredible at? Is there anything like that? I mean, did you ever think about playing another sport?
Well, I feel like we both we were collegiate athletes. So, I mean, our time had ended with those sports, and there wasn't anywhere else we could go. And this was our outlet that we found to still compete and be so physical and so active, and just that still challenged us.
Yeah.
What did you guys play?
So in college, I was a heptathlete, and I played basketball.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I played basketball, but I had a track scholarship. And actually, track and field was, I thought as a kid I was going to the Olympics. I knew I was going to the Olympics until about my junior year. And I was like, this is, I still wanted to play, but, coaches and different things like that. When I graduated, it was kind of like I really missed, I wouldn't say that I wasn't good enough to go to the Olympics, but it wasn't something that I felt like I could do at that moment. But
what was your event?
The 400 too, all the sprints, and then I triple jumped a bit. But I definitely thought that as a kid I was going to the Olympics, and when that didn't happen, it's kind of like, like she said, you graduate from college, that's a very high level, especially if you have a scholarship, and it's like, what do you do with all this, energy? And for us, I know for myself, playing with the guys, it's a little different when you get older. You want to be around other people that enjoy the same thing that you want, like basketball. If I want to go and play basketball in the gym, I don't want to have to play with the guys. I want to play with women just like myself. And football gave us that outlet to be around women. Like, I can talk about makeup all day, makeup, hair, and everything like that, but then I can talk about football for hours and talk about plays. So that's to me the beauty of the group that we're a part of, because we can chug a beer and talk about football, but we can talk about Mac and get our hair done and do all that stuff, and it's totally fine.
Sounds like we would be best friends, because that's me. I feel like that's how I am. I'm such a girly girl. I love like hair, makeup, clothes, all of that, but I will talk about every single sport, and I probably know more than a lot of the guys that I'm friends with. So I think
I
that's
heard you
great.
rattling off stuff that I was like,
like I agree, girl.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, I'm super passionate about it. So I love to hear that you guys feel the same way. That's amazing. And we're so excited to see the premiere tomorrow night, guys, again on Oxygen, 10/9 Central, pretty strong. Any closing thoughts? Anything else you want to share with the fans about the game, about your show, about anything in the world?
And actually, while you're in town as well, any other appearances you guys have going on they can check out?
Absolutely. They can check us out tomorrow on Access Hollywood.
Access Hollywood Live.
Access
yes,
Hollywood
tomorrow
Live,
morning.
Tomorrow morning.
But we're not sure if it's I think it's going to air tomorrow night.
Okay.
We're not sure exactly what time, but they can if they can follow us on social media.
Yep.
We have so many events that's coming up. That's really exciting.
Give them your handles again.
Yes,
Yeah.
I am at the Yashi at Facebook, the Yashi Experience, and Instagram and Twitter. Yashi Experience, and it's Yashi Experience. I would spell experience, but I've had too many cocktails tonight, and it's too long of a word to spell.
And mine, I made it pretty simple on all social media. It's just at Heather Fur, Furr.
2 R's.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have one more thing.
Yes.
I have a song that's available on iTunes. It's called If I Had My Way, and it was written and produced by Rico Love and Jim Johnson, and it's still available. And just watch out. There's going to be much more music to come this season.
Cool.
Oh, we can't wait. Okay, Ben, where can everyone find you on social media?
Ben Bateman Media, you guys can find me.
And you can find me at Tina Cap. Thank you guys so much for being here again.
Thank you.
Next week, we'll be back. Another Monday Night Football. Steph Z will be here. We can't wait. See you later.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later. Go see it.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.